Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the University of Montana stream. I'm your host for the day, Disco Potato, and today, casting with me live is Coach Jimmy. Coach Jimmy, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing pretty great. So we're jumping right on into it here.
Yeah, so real quick, we'll go over it. So Sac State's on the left, and they've already banned two of the top laners. These are Vegicarp's really good top lane champions. And then a Leona ban, that one's a little bit surprising. We've talked about this throughout the season, but you see we banned Aphelios. That was pretty...
Of course.
And then we banned their two top laners. I expect to see a set first pick here from Sac State. Their top laner plays Set, Fiora, Mordekaiser, and Ornn. That's the other one. So now what I actually expect Montana to do is something we've talked about and sort of scouted out, is that their AD plays four things. We're going to pick two of them right here, I think.
Okay.
So we're going to pick MF and Senna, I believe.
And then hopefully ban the other two.
Well, we banned Aphelios, that's one.
Oh, right.
MF, Senna, and then he plays Talia. So we're essentially forcing him to play Talia or Xayah or Khan. Yep, so that's what I expected to see that one.
Okay.
So we're likely to see... I would actually expect Xayah or Khan from them, since we sort of pigeonholed them. That's the only thing they're left to really play at this point. Xayah or Khan, or he picks up the Talia. He hasn't shown much Ezreal, and so this is sort of the point of why we do this draft, is we hopefully throw him on something he's pretty uncomfortable with. Ezreal players, Ezreal's a funny AD carry, because he's safe, but until people are really diamond with him, nobody actually understands how to play this champion. They just Q farm, and they don't actually understand he's still an AD. You can still do a lot of attack damage with him, and so it's actually really frustrating as a support player, because until you get up into those higher levels where people actually know Ezreal, it's really hard to play around him. So,
I see.
Anyway, so we see Ezreal, Jarvan. So interesting. It leaves their support and their mid lane up. I highly expect that we would ban supports, and it looks like we got Yumi. I would hope that we see a Braum ban. Their support plays a lot of Braum.
Oh, okay.
And their mid plays everything. So there's really no sense in banning their mid lane out. But Braum is actually pretty good into us, and Braum should be the next ban. That would be what I hope that Montana bans here. And that sort of pigeonholed there. Unfortunately, they got nothing. So I expect to see a Braum pick up from Sac State on the very next pick after they do their last ban. Let's see. They're going to ban mid.
I was just going to say, are they going to ban mid?
They're going to ban a Pike or something, or another mid laner that we've been showing a lot. So
maybe LeBlanc or something.
Pike, LeBlanc, Echo.
Oh, Echo. There
yeah. Oh, I guess I messed it up, the pick order. So we get a pick, and then... so let's see, what are we going to pick here? We're likely to pick our top lane here because we know their top lane is an Ornn. I anticipate to see a Vayne pick up here, or let's see, Shen. Vayne or Shen are the two things that I'm expecting to see from Montana here as the pickup.
And then we'll be able to counter-pick their mid lane.
Ooh, the Cassio. So this is sort of a pocket pick. We haven't shown this yet, but Vegicarp is actually really good at Cassiopeia. So this is kind of the first time we pulled it out in even practice, but he's actually pretty good at it. I anticipate Sac State to pick up Braum here, and then whatever mid laner they want to pick blind, because that's the thing, is it's a blind mid pick for them. If they know. They might assume that Cassio is mid, but Cassio is definitely our top laner. And then we see a Taric. I am just wrong. I'm finding out that I'm wrong. I actually have a lot of criticisms of this draft for both sides, actually, but that's okay. You're seeing a big team fight comp in tanks from we're losing our screen from Sac State. But
oh my goodness, thank you, cameraman.
Yeah, cameraman's getting us back in. All right, and then
stream has changed.
Apparently we're against NAU today.
We'll get him. He'll be able to try to go into
one day.
Fix that.
And then the Galio pickup. This is interesting.
For our mid lane.
Yeah. All right, so let's see what's going on here. So we have a support Senna, MF, a Galio mid, Cassio top, Rek'Sai. So Rek'Sai really wants to jungle gank pretty heavily, so we sort of have that early game pressure. but we actually have scaling between Cassio and Senna, and then Galio for the global pressure. So I actually don't mind UM's draft here. They're sort of not very tanky, but on the flip side, Sac State is like full tanks. They have 4 tanks than an Ezreal. So depending on how good this Ezreal is could really determine their comp. I anticipate that this Ezreal actually doesn't necessarily know how to play Ezreal that well. Not to flame, but we haven't seen that from him. And honestly, right. Ezreal's sort of this like, every AD knows how to play Ezreal because he's actually not hard to play, but to play him well, that's a whole different thing. The floor is so super low, but like the ceiling is really high. I don't know if that makes sense. So that's why Ezreal's so good in pro play, is because if played well, Ezreal is really, really good. But if played at like its base level, and that's what a lot of people play him at, he's not that good. He's just sort of safe, right? He just has the phase shift every 5 seconds or whatever, and that's all he's really doing, and he's Q spamming. But that's not what Ezreal is actually all his kit is. So a really good Ezreal player that abuses Conqueror, things like that. That's what that's what a good Ezreal will do. I don't anticipate seeing that, but if we do see that from him, it's going to be a really hard game for Montana to win.
Okay. So we're getting our camera fixed a little bit here. Our cameraman's really doing some work. He's really making it. We do see Michael Cassins in chat though. Shout out to him. Go Grizz.
Shout out to the director, the founder of this whole thing.
We also have Ked Nizer in chat.
Let's go Bears. Yeah.
Let's go Bears.
We want to see the Bear wins, not the Bees. So
True.
The Bees and the Bears. So
Bees and the Bears.
I never understood that. So I moved to Montana when I was in high school, but my first high school when I was living in Idaho, the mascot was the Bees. And it's kind of just...
It was actually called the Bees?
I went to Bonneville High School in Idaho Falls, which Bonneville Bees
Bees?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were the Bees. And the mascot was like this bee with like... He had like boxing gloves on and stuff. And I'm like, it's really hard to be intimidating as like the Bees. You know what I mean?
The Bees, yeah.
Yeah. Although, like, to be fair, I don't think anyone really likes bees. So, like, most of us can deal with like Spartans because those don't really exist anymore. But bees are a constant struggle, like in our everyday life. So maybe bees are actually the most formidable mascot. I don't know.
A lot of people mistakenly say bees when they're talking about wasps or hornets, and they're completely different. Bees are pretty harmless. So like bees are pretty cool. And then wasps, we got wasps. Wasps are the devil, and hornets just hurt. If you make a hornet mad, it's yikes. Yeah, they are just worse than the devil.
Yeah, I don't really know the difference. I'm not very educated in bees versus hornets.
They don't really have an offensive stinger. They're honey collectors.
Right.
They will do your honey collecting. And hornets and wasps, they don't really make honey at all. They're just a nuisance.
Okay, I see that.
So they're like you could classify them together, and you'll see like bees will make the honeycombs, and they'll have a big honey hive. Hornets will just make like a ball nest, and you'll see, and same with wasps, and you'll see them in like nooks and crannies, and they're just really dry balls, and they'll slowly like grow.
Right.
Bigger and bigger. And that's like hornets and stuff.
And I do know, like, to Ken Nizer's point, like, without bees, we're basically done as, like, a species, right? I do know that bees are, like, one of the most important, like, species out there for us, but, like, I think I speak for everybody. And again, like you said, it's probably this assumption that wasps are the same as bees. They're just annoying, and they'll just sting you randomly, and that's kind of... That's probably more a wasp thing. I haven't been stung in a very long time, so I am allergic. Yeah.
I have never been stung, so I don't know if I'm allergic or not.
It hurts. It's annoying. It's like it's like stubbing your toe really hard. It's like you're frustrated or whatever. But I guess we're loading in the game after our long bee talk.
Long talk about bees.
Yeah. So. Blue side, we have Sac State. Red side, we have Montana. So, again, we talked about this last time I was here, but the strategy that almost any team should do is that instant analysis of level 1. Do we win a fight? If we got into a 5v5 fight, do we win? And Montana has decided they don't, so they fan out, right? So that no one's really at risk if they're all spread out and they sort of drop wards. So, and it seems that Sac State did the same thing. So you see this a lot. It's kind of a beautiful formation. I don't know if that makes sense, but like you see how quickly everyone just did that.
Right.
So both teams think that they lose at level 1, which is probably fair. And this is a typical situation. And the idea is to prevent the other team from getting deep wards and try to get a deep ward yourself. So
right.
Because the early game is completely dependent on knowing where the jungler's at. That's the conversation that should be going on. So, by the way, if you ever want to improve in solo queue, if you start to, no matter what lane you are in, if like try to sort of track the jungler, you will improve your solo queue by a lot. It's one of the things that I like to do as support is that like I do like a question mark ping, like I think their jungler's here. I think their jungler's here. And it really helps because, if you know that you have a jungle advantage on this side or that side, it'll help a lot. So
that'd be huge. I think that's definitely what I need to work on when I'm jungling, because I'm really good at securing my own jungle. I play a Mumu, so I'm really good at getting ganks and whatnot. But I'm not good at paying attention to where their jungler is specifically.
Right.
I'm good at map awareness in the lanes and whatnot, but when it comes to the enemy jungle, that's my...
So, interestingly enough, sorry, we missed this. Their top and mid swapped lanes. So I think they realized that they had bad lane matchups.
Wow. And
they actually swapped. So we see the Ornn in the mid lane and then the Diana in the top lane. So this is interesting. So we will see if Montana does a swap back. I would anticipate them to. I think these lanes are more even for Sac State, but if you swap these, the lanes are very much in favor of Montana. So Montana did a good job of drafting a winning lane, but then Sac State did a good job of answering of doing a lane swap. So quite fascinating.
Very cool. And we'll see if we can signal over to the cameraman to switch the positions on the items thing of where Ornn is. Ornn and Diana are. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Thank you, cameraman.
And I don't know if I anticipate that to stay. I think it's more of a matchup thing. Ornn is definitely better into Galio, and Diana is definitely better into Cassio than the alternatives. And
right.
So, that said, I actually do think, like we see here, I think Galio actually wins both of those matchups. So, and Cassio,
good play there from Galio.
Yeah. Ooh, we see an early gank.
Oh, okay. Shy coming around. See if he can get this. Jump in, see the tremor, and we get a flash from Diana. That's really good.
Good flash for nothing. That's great. So the big thing with Cassio is that she's a late game monster. So she's just trying to scale, trying to play safe, trying to farm up. So getting that flash out of the way is that's a very good summoner to get for free.
He doesn't know there's a ward here, so we'll see what happens. Oh, Wish almost getting him with that snare there.
So that's actually something I don't like to do, by the way. And if you're in a solo queue game, another cool thing is like if he's wasting time sitting on that ward, that's great. Don't signal to him. Ooh, hold on, I'll talk about it.
Here we go. Shy getting another good knock up over there. We see our cameraman is jumping off, and Diana gets first blood to Cassiopeia, and we get a nice engagement here on mid lane, and Jarvan taking the kill on Galio right there.
So both junglers, successful ganks. You see a wasted flash from Galio there. I don't think there's a way out for him. And this is a communication issue. This is what we talk about when we say tracking the jungler. We knew the jungler was in that bot river, so we knew his only option was bot or mid there. So our mid laner should have definitely done a better job of respecting the Jarvan.
And we see a potential kill right here as we see Rusk is staying bot while Wish came up to do a pinch gank on the mid lane here, and there wasn't too much damage as a TP came from Galio, who was trying to return to lane there as Shy was getting a good gank. But the mid lane was able to get away, and Ornn just walked right out of there.
Yeah, you saw both Jarvan and Ornn flash, so it might not look that big, but those are flashes down, and we saw what happened top when the flash is down. So it's sort of on Shy to come back to the mid lane and take advantage of that flash advantage. But to go back to my point, you know how when Jarvan was standing on that ward, right?
Right.
And then Wish throws out the snare. It's actually something better to do that I like to do is you don't actually throw the snare because that signals to him that you have a ward there, and then he'll leave, right? Whereas a better option would be to play around it.
Ooh, good knock up on the Taric there coming from Shy. We see a lot of good damage going on to Taric. He's at half health, and his flash gets procced. And Shy is still chasing, goes down to half because he kept going.
Very good gangs coming out from Shy here. He's blown so many flashes already. So we got the Taric flash, and Taric actually has the heal as opposed to Ezreal. Ezreal's oftentimes take teleport instead of the AD going heal. So he blew both of Taric's sums. So the idea here is he's blown all the sums. Now what does he do with it? And so he needs to be repeat ganking these places. And so I anticipate as a Rek'Sai for him to be going and ganking some more after he finishes his back and his items, of course.
That was really funny on Jarvan there. He canceled his second auto on the first ward right there as he procced the vision orb, and then he hit it once, and then he went to go hit it twice and was like really close, and then he sidestepped again, and it canceled the second attack, so he had to hit it 2 more times there.
The canceled auto on the wards, the classic.
The classic. Oh, I'm getting Ked saying, when are they going to see me on the league team? I was offered by Jimmy here to join the JV team.
Yeah.
Because we had a couple of JV alternating up, but I turned him down.
Yeah, he turned me down. I needed his leadership, but he's been doing... Oh, we see a gank here.
Good gank coming from Shy here. Oh, a nice knock-up as Ornn dashed into it. We see an Ornn ult getting missed. As he was CC'd and Shy going in to try to finish that kill and taken out by Ornn right there. Galio's trying to finish up, and up here in top lane, a lot of damage going off here onto Cassiopeia. Taric takes Galio out, and Cassiopeia gets the kill on Diana in top lane. Looking pretty low, but nice, secure of a kill. And we do have Infernal Drake up.
So there's a lot to digest there. So Cassiopeia won the 1v1 against Diana, that's very good. This is Cassio's weak point in the game. So this, if he's winning the 1v1s now, that's really good for Montana. But unfortunately, we also saw...
Here comes Taric and Jarvan. Good escape. Good
nice
escape.
Dodges. But unfortunately, we did see that one of the problems with Galio mid is that he doesn't have a lot of damage. So while Shy was able to do that gank, and they executed it actually pretty well, it's just they didn't quite have the damage there.
Yeah, he wasn't quite able to finish off
Yep.
The mid lane.
And so that was quite unfortunate. Again, everything executed really well. But what I'm starting to see is, you notice... It's a silent top lane, and this is what I do like about Vegicarp as a player, is that when he starts to get ahead, it's sort of this like creeping thing, and he's ahead on one of the better scaling champions in the game. So keep eyes on that Cassio as this.
Oh, here we see Shy coming in as Jarvan is trying to take Dragon by himself. He dashes away from Drag, getting a nice leash for Shy to take the red Drag, giving Infernal to University of Montana.
In all chat, this is where you see, thanks for the leash, bro.
I'm gonna 1v1, and then the other jungler just jumps in and is like, oh, well, you just brought yourself down to a quarter hit points, so I'm just gonna take you out.
Yeah. Thanks for the leash. Yeah. So good job from Shy there to recognize that was the objective being called. So we've been seeing a lot of Jarvan in this tournament, and I actually have some heavy opinions on Jarvan. I think Jarvan's actually not that good of a champion. He's a very heavy ganking champion, but that's all he really brings to the table. So the fact that he's 102 is not scary, right? Whereas you're looking at the Cassio and you see the 200, and that's much more scarier. If you were in solo queue, right, and you see a Cassio at 200 and you see a Jarvan at 102, and as our cameraman pointed out, that gold advantage, like, I'm much more worried about a Cassio. The Jarvan's really there as like sort of the lockdown. That's all he really brings to the table. And so,
what? He's just stalling the minions.
Yeah. So he's freezing the wave, and this is very mostly done in top lane. Wave management is a very big thing, and so he's basically starving Diana out from minions. And so you see he's got all these minions built up, and he's going to keep it right there because the only thing that Diana can do to farm now is to step up and risk himself, right? And so it's called the lane freeze, and it's like I said, mostly done in the top lane with the elongated lane, and also the fact that you're solo and you have more control over the situation. So
here we see Diana getting knocked up by Shy as Cassiopeia jumps in. She goes on to Cassiopeia, getting down and taken out almost, but she flashed away just barely out of that Senna ult.
So I don't want to be like that guy's like, hey, I told you so, but like that's exactly what I'm talking about. So he freezes it back, and this is, and again, you want to improve in solo queue, that's a huge deal. That Diana has nothing to do but to step up and put herself in danger. So that was a play that was set up by that wave management, not just, by sheer circumstance. So that was very well executed. And now you start to see him, now that Diana's gone, for him to push the lane. And so that's typical top lane. So you see the top lanes crashing. He's got 2 waves there crashing into that turret.
And now they're going to go and contest the Herald here.
Yeah, Sack does a really good lane swap. So this is something you see heavily in pro play, is that you see the top laner go down at like 10, 11 minutes, and then the bot lane go up to secure the Rift Herald. So very well done from Sack State there. We'll see how Montana responds, but the idea is to drop that Rift Herald before the turret platings go down, and so that's the whole point of it, is because the Rift Herald guarantees, I think, 3 turret platings depending on which lane you're in, but like 3 turret platings is quite a lot of gold. I think that's 360 gold. So that's the idea with that one, and so they have to drop it before I think the 14-minute mark. So we'll see if they try to pressure somewhere, and let's see who has it. It's the Jarvan that has it, so Jarvan will be the one to follow around and see where he's dropping it.
Mm-hmm. And we'll watch him. He is hovering around down in bot lane. I think he's might be getting ready for a gank down there. We'll find out.
Yeah, he's collapsing on this bot lane.
Here he comes. He's going to throw down as Diana. Oh, a miss. And he's pathing in the wrong direction. Gets ulted by the Jarvan. Ooh. Diana takes her out, but we get a TP from Vegicarp. Vegicarp gets a kill on Diana and then gets out of there as Senna is going and snaring the Ezreal here. Oh, we get a knock up from Jarvan as Wish is getting poked down, but here's Cassiopeia to do the damage. We get a flash coming out from Jarvan there. Really well done, a nice execution on University of Montana's part. Senna's going to heal up, and Galio is there with Ornn and Taric. We get a nice grounded on Taric right there. We're channeling an Ornn ult going up and taking out Senna right there. Oh my goodness. Ornn is at half, and we see Shy goes in and gets stunned under tower for a double kill for Ornn. Galio goes, flashes in after the dash flash away from Ornn. Very nice job done securing that kill.
So there was a lot to digest there. Obviously, yes. Great teleport responses from both Cassio and Ezreal, but this is one of the reasons why teleport's mostly a top lane thing, because Cassio teleporting in is a much bigger effect than an Ezreal, right? So very, very good teleport, very good fight from the Cassio, who, like I said, watch this. He's creeping up. He's got 110-ish farm at 13 minutes. He's 301. This Cassio is going to be a force in this game, so very good from that. And one of the biggest things they did there is they stalled the Rift Herald drop. Remember I said you got to get it before the turret platings are dropped. And I think that is the 14 minute. They dropped in like
20 seconds, yeah.
Yeah.
14 minutes.
And so at the end of the day, that was a huge win for Montana. And it might not seem like that, but that was a very big deal. And
nice Cloud Drake there, and it's Ocean map. Okay. Oh. So this will definitely benefit Sack.
It's going to be very close.
Oh, he wants to get it. Turning plating drops right there. They don't get a single one.
No. It'll do more damage now, but that's the deal. It only did half the turret, no extra gold. So that Rift Herald was actually worth nothing in the very end. So
wow,
Montana is really executing its macro game at a very high level. You see they're down gold, and that's probably due to, let's see, the mid lane. This Ornn has a big advantage over the Galio. But again, are you more scared about an Ornn tank later or a Cassio? And I'm of the opinion this Cassio is going to really take over this game. That Cassio should be able to really do some damage into the Ornn. As we see there with the gold advantage, we see almost 1,000 gold advantage for Cassio, and Cassio actually has more gold than the Ornn.
Knock up on from Shy there. An ult from Senna, but he gets taken out in a 2v1 with Ornn was there with Taric.
Get caught warding. It's a hard thing to do. You have to drop wards so you can get vision, but then that vision, if you don't have it in the first place, you can get caught doing it. So this happens to supports all the time. Again, don't flame your support if they get caught out, because they're just trying to drop wards for you oftentimes. So that's what All Shy was trying to do there. So it happens. It's sometimes you got to have a little bit better of awareness, but that's sort of what goes on.
We see a 4-man mid as Cassiopeia pushes bot here. They are coming down. Gonna try to catch out Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia does see Jarvan, and Taric and Diana are coming in a 1v3. Jarvan dashes in, ults down onto Cassiopeia. Diana dashes in, and Cassiopeia kills Jarvan right away, and then shutdown gold goes to Diana. Very well done. An ult coming from Ezreal over here onto the mid lane.
So very well done from Vegicarp. He overstayed, and so that's the conversation is do we need to back off there? But turning a bad situation into a semi-profitable one, able to trade a kill there, it's still not worth it. But very good job for him to realize I'm dead here, not just try to run, but turn and get a kill at the same time.
That is nice. Because 4-1 is better than 3-1.
Yep. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to know you're dead, right? Like, there's 3 of them, and I'm alone. There's no dream movement here that gets me out of here alive. So let's just try to take somebody out on my way out.
Very true. We do see Ezreal and Galio are up here in top lane, going 1-1, head-to-head.
This will favor Galio's pushing. Galio obviously has great pushing, and Ezreal does not have great wave management. So I think what we're seeing there from Galio, right, is just push the wave and back. And so I wouldn't anticipate that lane matchup to stay. But, yeah, if that did stay, Galio would just hard shove that lane. But
okay.
So if you look at the goal difference here in Montana versus SAC, so SAC has done a good job they have a spread out gold advantage. But the problem is that the really only 2 people on their team that really will do anything late game are going to be that Diana and that Ezreal. Those are your carries. Ornn will obviously do his damage and whatnot, but he's always going to do that, right? So the fact that they aren't really doing a whole ton, that's kind of a big deal, whereas we have a huge lead on Cassio. And so we're essentially funneling Cassio, and they have a nice gold spread. We see a 800 gold difference between our MF and their Ezreal. So,
oh, wow. We do indeed. MF and Senna are both down death, but Ezreal doesn't have a kill. He's still triple O. We see there.
Yep. And
the Taric.
This is sort of what happened with that pick ban phase. Again, we put him on a very uncomfortable champion, and we're starting to see the responses from that. Unfortunately, by doing that, we also let the Ornn pick come through. And so Ornn, it's sort of the mix and match, right? We allow Ornn, but we take out their AD, and so we have to deal with the Ornn.
Oh, we see a tunnel from Shy going around there. Oh, not knocking anybody up. We see Cassiopeia rotating up to ward. Oh, is that actually a bush there from Ocean Map? On the edge?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So Ocean Map spawns tons of bushes all around. It makes it interesting to warding because oftentimes these connected bushes that they do, if you drop a ward in it doesn't see the whole bush. And so it's something, if you're like a support main or something like that, you really have to go into to the practice tool and practice like Ocean Map specifically.
Yeah.
I actually don't know if you can do that in the practice tool, but there's so many places that Ocean Map allows you to do interesting warding situations, especially pink warding situations. You can get pink wards down a bush, and they won't see it even if they ward that bush. It's a weird situation with Ocean Map. It's very crazy. I don't think it's intended from them, but that's just sort of how it works.
Yeah. Okay. That was interesting. Ryan, as Vegicarp was trying to take Ocean Drac, got it to half health, and then I guess a ward was dropped. And here we see a good team engagement, a good knock-up on Ornn. A lot of damage coming out from Vegicarp as Wuzzy is going down. Oh, and the Senna ult just barely doesn't get it. But they get the Ocean Drake for third Drake claimed there. So
that was really interesting, and that would be a good spot where I wish we were able to zoom out. Maybe our cameraman could figure that out. But I didn't expect for Montana to win that. So SAC had all 5 members against 3 of Montana's members, right? Because Rek'Sai and Cassio were doing the dragon, yet Montana was able to come out with the kill. Russ got the kill, so weirdly, Montana really dominated that fight. Again, it's 1 kill, but you're starting to see all these fights. Maybe the gold lead is 700, but from a macro perspective, I'm telling you that Montana is actually dominating these fights. They're coming out 3 dragons now. You know, they're really dominating the macro side of things, and I'm slightly confused as to what happened in that fight. But very good job from Montana to be able to 3v5 for a second, get a kill, and secure that dragon.
Mm-hmm. Really well done. We see Galio pushing it out, and Ornn coming to contest the top lane there as turret goes to about a quarter left. That's really nice. Good pushing from Galio up in top. And we do see Diana and Cassiopeia are staying down in bot lane as bot lane is now in mid. They're rotating around there.
Yeah, so likely as mid game. So, you know, we're all used to the standard laning phases. As League has progressed, these laning phases change at different times, and then you'll see people move lanes. It is very typical for bot lane to transition to mid at about this 20-minute mark. Why? Because Dragon and Baron are the objectives on play, and it's also the shortest lane. So that's something else to think about, is that lane distance. In case they get ganked, right? If Jarvan comes mid, they don't have a long way to go to get to their turret. Whereas if they're top lane, that's a big, long lane. And so this is why you see this. It happens in pro play. It's very typical for bot lanes to be switching into the mid lane at about 15 to 20 minutes. And it's something also that people are still struggling with in solo queue.
Ornn ult knocking up Senna with an Ezreal ult, and then a dash from the Ornn to kill Senna. We see a dash in from Galio, and then a knockup from Jarvan into the ult onto the Galio. We see a flash come out from Shy. Shy is rotating around, getting some poke off as Cassiopeia goes and gets a kill, going into the back lines of the team there. A good kill for Misfortune onto Diana as well. Tarek and Diana are down. There are now 3 people left, and I think they're getting ready to Baron as Cassiopeia stands in a bush and takes down Jarvan. Nice. He was trying to escape with the dash over the wall, but just barely did not get away there.
This is another reason why I like the Cass pick, is that Cassiopeia is actually one of the fastest. We had a debate about which champion in the game takes like objectives the fastest. Cassio is probably in that conversation. It's like Cassio, Karthus, you know, they're really fast. So Cassio was able to go back and take that. That fight mid was actually beautifully executed from Montana. So they get the Sack gets the really nice pick onto Senna, but again, they blew everything to kill the Senna. And then they tried to keep fighting, and so Vegicarp comes in with one of his famous flanks. It's one of the things he's best at. And Jarvan realizes the error in his ways of picking Jarvan is that he ults, and that's just great for MF. MF's sitting there like, sweet man, like now you're just in a locked like box, and I just get an ult. So very good from Rusk to see that was the situation. So right as Jarvan ults, Rusk drops his ult immediately, and that's usually the synergy you want on your team. And so it was sort of counter synergy that Jarvan actually sort of hurt his own teammate by ulting there. And so you saw Jarvan ult in and then immediately flash out actually. And so very well executed from Montana. They're sort of winning these micro battles across the map, and it's not really like coming out, and you don't see these crazy big gold leads, but like we're seeing 3 dragons now, a Baron, you know, it's sort of like pressure over time, and if they keep this up, I expect Sack to break at a really big point here very soon. And like I said, from the very beginning, look at this Cassio, 6-1-2, 209 farm. This Cassio can 1v1 anyone in the game right now, and probably even 2v1. Cassio is a late game monster, where Ornn, again, he's fine, but like,
you know, we see an Ornn Galio engagement here. Galio taking a lot more health than Ornn.
See, right there is the difference between something like an Ornn and a Cassio. Ornn, you know, he gets to catch up, but what's he going to do, right? Whereas if that's Cassio in that bush, Cassio just kills the Galio there. And so Vegicarp is really playing this well, and I'm actually really excited to see him being able to... We haven't put him on one of these really hard carries in a long time, and so I'm actually pretty excited to see this. He's been our captain, he's been our leader, and he's really stepping up today.
Oh, and we see a Jarvan dashing an ult, catching no one because there was a flash going, and Galio ulting in, getting a nice knock-up as well. Diana pops her shield as she's getting ready to ult. We see an MF ult come out and then being stopped as they dashed away, and Senna getting a kill on Jarvan there, and then Ornn taking out Shy. We see a root going on to Ornn, shutting down from Cassiopeia, getting a nice secured kill and a double kill to a 1 kill. They are going to try to go for Ocean Drake, getting the Dragon Soul if they are able to take this. And it looks like that Sac State is not going to contest at all after that. So Ocean Drake with the Ocean Dragon Soul goes to the University of Montana.
That was... as a coach, these are things I'd love to see. There's so many cool things that went on in that fight. Like... So summoner advantage is a big deal. We always talk about it, right? You see it pinged, and like most people just ignore it, like, okay, cool, their flash is down. But that's sort of the idea. Sac State didn't communicate that Montana had flashes up, so they get a Ornn ult into a Jarvan ult into MF and Senna, and both MF and Senna immediately flash. And if you notice, you look at their flash timers, they're the exact same time. It was right as Jarvan ulted, and they both flashed right over the wall, and they essentially took Sac State out of the fight and said, all right, you just blew both your ults, we blew both of our flashes, but now your champions are basically useless at this point. So something that it's hard to like coach those things, and Montana is really showing these like very intuitive things about the game, and they're really stepping up. I'm liking what I see from every single player today.
Nice. That's good to hear. All right, we see Ryan was waiting in the bush, waiting for that Tark and Jarvan to come up. They were in bot lane, and then they rotated mid, so now Cassiopeia just took out minions, and she's going to push. But here comes Ezreal and Tarek now. They're getting ready to go in on the bot lane. Cassiopeia is here, though, so we'll see the plays that go down around it.
The one thing that I will say that Montana has to be worried about, they're doing a constant pressure, but one of the champions that I always talk about as a coach as being one of the best champions in the game for late game is Tarek, believe it or not. Tarek, as a team play late game champion, is one of the best. He's able to provide a big ultimate. He heals better than almost anybody, including the likes of Yumi or anything like, or Soraka, right? Because he has essentially an AoE around him. Late game Tarek is a formidable foe. And we've actually saw that last week, right? We played Tarek a few times, and Tarek late game is actually quite a monster. And so that would be something I'd be really careful about.
Oh, an ult from Galio jumping into the center to help take out Diana there and give him a little bit of rotation.
Yeah, we saw a trade kill for Diana for Senna, and so that's a great trade. And this is where Vegicarp excels as a player.
Oh, Ornn ult to the Jarvan. Dash in from the Tarek ult, and a 4-person shutdown on the Cassiopeia. And our cameraman had pointed it out just a little bit ago that Cassiopeia is level 17, and Tarek and Ezreal were level 11 and 12 instead of 13 and 12.
So what happened
good
there?
Double kill right there.
What happened there was great because this is something we actually did earlier on in the year. As we've grown throughout the year, we stopped doing so much. Is that Vegicarp is actually one of the best split pushers that I've ever known as a player. And so we see him on this Cassio, right? They can't 1v1 him and even 2v1 him, right? So if we can take advantage of that by him going bot or going top, right? If they pull in 4, great. Then the rest of your team can take the objective. And so it was really good from Vegicarp to absorb that pressure. Get a good almost kill the
taunt on the Ezreal. Dash does not knock up the Ezreal because it hit the nick of the wall, and now Ornn and Diana just came in and took down as the Galio, and Ezreal gets killed.
A little bit unfortunate. I understand the idea there. You're zoning them off the Baron while your team can take it. One of the things is that Cassio is dead, and MF and Senna don't actually take Baron all that fast. But going back to my point of like. And this is a great solo queue learning moment. If you have that top laner that's really trying to split push, your job is to not necessarily help them, but to essentially respond when they go towards that top laner, right? So they sent 4 bot, right? And so Vegicarp's going to absorb the pressure, maybe try to kill someone, whatever, and he's going to die. But then we take the mid inhibitor along the way. So yes. Sac State comes out with the kill lead, but we get the inhibitor. So it's essentially like a counterpunch sort of idea, and it's something that Vegicarp's actually is his skill set. We haven't seen it a lot this year, but it's actually what he does the best amongst anyone I've ever played with, and it's actually his top skill set. So I really liked seeing Montana execute that well.
That's good. Now we see the Baron start here.
So this is interesting. Sorry, real quick. Okay. You notice how they play around the vision there. So they had So Sac State feels a comfort because they have that scuttle vision, but they never actually stepped in there. So Senna was off to the right. You had Cassio in the back and Rek'Sai over the back, so they were able to sneak it, and that was very smart from Montana. So that was essentially a 200 IQ kind of move. And again, this is where they're not keeping track of summoners. You know,
the ult and then flash to get that away. Wow. Oh my goodness. Good back.
So Montana is really executing at a very high level right now, and I'm really liking what I see. I keep saying these things, but it's so large when you're playing a formidable foe. I mean, again, this is the battle for first place. You know, both these teams are tied for lead in Big Sky, and the winner of this gets the number 1 seed in the playoffs. So when you're playing against, you know, this is a very, very good team, and is better than us in some ways, right? And so we're seeing Montana really step up.
Oh, we saw a missed kill from the cameraman there as Diana was taken out by Cassiopeia.
Well, at least we got to see the bottom river getting warded. You know, that was more important than the kill cameraman.
That's true. That's true. The play around the Elder Drake, you know. Glad we're seeing that. As Cassiopeia pushes in the top lane there, split pushing that inhib, they're going to try to take Elder Drake. Jarvan is coming around, though. He might try to get a steal here. We see a flash from Coles onto the Jarvan from over the wall. Gets a dash in on him. Takes out a lot of his health. MF ult taking out Jarvan right there. And Elder Drake is secured for red team.
Very, very well executed. And so this is the deal. This is actually one of my favorite ways to win the game, by the way. And Montana's really executing it. And we haven't seen this a lot. Of saying, Vegicarp, you're one of our best players, and he is so good on this island. Just put him on that island, you know, and just let the numbers work for you, right? And so they have to send 3. They get to take Elder for free. So very well executed across the board. As I said, this pressure over time, what ended up winning this game was Vegicarp on that Cassio. This is a very, very well executed.
Yeah, and a good knock-up from Galio on the Diana, bringing her to about half health. And we get a victory for the University of Montana for Game 1. Amazing play there.
Very good.
That's the first game, I think, that we actually brought it all the way to Elder Drake. And actually got Elder Drake. Like, a team got Elder Drake.
Yeah, that was one of the cleanest wins that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And so
I think in this entire tournament so far.
Yeah.
That was a pretty clean win.
And it's interesting that Montana really has stepped up in the biggest of moments. You're talking Sac State, like I said, number 1. They're tied for 1 seed. So they did one of the cleanest wins I've seen in a long time. And so that's really encouraging to see is they got all 4 dragons. They gave up 1 Rift Herald, which they ended up wasting on half a turret. So very, very good job from Montana. Very good job from Vegicarp carrying on that top lane where we've seen him do it quite a few times. It was very well executed, and Montana really stepped up there.
For sure, for sure. All right, and with that, we will be back with Game 2. So we'll see you guys soon, and catch you around.